This is Zettelcast, brought to you by readers, writers, thinkers, and teachers from LiLLiPub, along with our partners in thought, our Zettelkastens. In this show, we share discoveries that our Zettelkastens have shown us.
There you go.
And compare notes on how we're using this marvelous invention in our creative work. Thank you for joining us.
All right, Book.
Let's do it again.
All right.
Episode 47, Structure That Liberates. Welcome to the Zettelcast. We don't have a title. We are scrambling, but we're going to have fun. This is what happens when you work with people who have children, who are in school, who have jobs. What? But it's the best. I don't want to just hang around with retirees. So, what I am going to be pulling out of my bag here is, again, something that I learned as an Agile coach. I've mentioned many times that in my last job, I got the opportunity to work as an Agile coach, which is a way of helping people work together, kind of in a more Kairos within Chronos way. It's freedom with constraints. And it's the context in which I worked was writing software for a bank. But the senior Agile coaches that were brought in to help us figure out what we were doing and from whom I learned much, brought in their bag of tricks the lean coffee, which I showed in an episode around Christmas time. And then there's this thing called Liberating Structures. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to link to that, and we'll be looking at the website of Liberating Structures. So if you think about, I've talked about the 6 thinking hats, and I think you can probably see my little hats there in the corner there. That's a way of kind of structuring a conversation that induces a mindset among the participants. So it influences the way people are filtering and listening. So that's one kind of way of helping people communicate. Kathleen, you've been talking in various ways about how you are applying the techniques that you're learning from Mel Jeffcoat. And one of those, for example, is the Leitner box. Maybe you want to talk about how you said, oh, that sounds good, and you've started using your Leitner box.
Oh, right now?
Yeah, if you don't mind. And then I'll get on to Liberating Structures.
My challenge that I wanted to work through was my outrageous collection of unfiled cards. I have this bad habit. Yesterday, I had a lovely block of free time when I just got to experience that Kairos time of feeling like there was no end to the afternoon, no end to no limits. And I had one card in my hands. When I was done with all that time, I had filed one card, only one card, but I had enormous fun with it. And it had generated so many creative ideas that ultimately, if I put all of these onto cards, you can count up, there's 5 cards. So if you have that kind of a relationship with your Zettelkasten where you file one and in the process get 5 more, it's a little hard to catch up. So what I did with the Leitner box was I started taking a block of unfiled cards and using those like vocabulary that you would want to learn in a language, which is what a Leitner box is famous for. It spreads out the review process. So you touch the words with a longer and longer intervals until you're read, till they're done. You know them and you can file them in the completion box. And so I did that with my cards. And as I was reviewing them, I, I would review a clump of them, and some would be so sparkly to me that I would want to file them right there. And others were still feeling cold. They would sit. So if a block of cards went all the way to the done spot in the Leitner box, it was time to say, okay, did these make very nice scratch paper, you know? If you haven't wanted to file them yet, maybe they weren't nearly as brilliant as you thought they were the day you created them.
Does that happen?
And that's how I use the Leitner box.
Awesome. Right. One way of thinking about that is that in kind of a similar vein to the six thinking hats, it's more content oriented. It says you're going to focus on this now. Um, Liberating structures is more like an architecture, a set of architectural patterns for communication among people. But Kathleen, ever since began to watch your YouTube channel, and you were freely dropping the word conversations about the cards in your Zettelkasten, in Zeke over there, handsome Zeke. Um, of course, I make this connection. What can we use that from the wisdom of people who have really tried to facilitate good conversations in the conversations that take place between ourselves and in our own plus ones. Now, I can't tell you, and here's how I did it, because I haven't. But let's see how this works. So, liberating structures, and you can I will link to it, but it's guess the URL. It's liberatingstructures.com. So we're gonna look at their website. There's a book, Surprising Power of Liberating Structures, and it talks about their primary mission is to get people engaged, but to essentially create environments in which that engagement can happen. And there are different kinds of engagement environments that they have found suit certain problems or, kinds of discussions people need to have. The LS menu, as I browse that, you're able to see the pop down?
Mhm.
Awesome. So each of these numbered 1 through 29, and I think it actually goes further, is a liberating structure. And you can go to it and they have a common pattern of how they talk about this structure and how to do it and what are the gotchas. And people can go look at that. But I'm going to discuss number 1, which is 1, 2, 4, all. Number, where is it? 25, which is open space technology. And then not showing here on this. Oh no, it's there. Number 8, Troika Consulting. These are the ones that I have personally used and found to be really helpful to get to get people really humming. So in 1, 2, 4, all, the way it works. This is the way they present all these, the structural elements, the min specs, they're very techy, the minimum specifications. There's a structuring invitation. You set up the scene. How do you arrange the materials? How do people work together? The main thing you can see is the sequence of steps, and time allocation. I won't even worry about the time allocation. The time allocation is really important to keep people from just like going down too many rabbit holes. But the way it works, let's say you've got people and a single problem that you all want to solve together. And this is a way of doing a brainstorm on that problem without any one person dominating.
Ooh.
So what you do is you first ask people, take a moment, come up with your best idea in this moment for how to solve that problem and write it down. Then you pair people into twos. So we've just done one. You pair people into twos. They compare their solutions. Either they pick the one that they think is clearly the stronger solution, or they may fuse something together, but it's a product of the two of them and they both agree. Then those two pairs, that pair joins another pair, and that's the four. So you've got a group of four, and they're doing the same thing. The pair represents their best idea so far, and another pair represents theirs. And together, they do that same kind of fermentation. And then it's all. Each of the quartets presents their best idea, and then people start working on that together and figuring out, well, what's the best one we think. So as you can see the way this flows, and it's a way that Liberating Structures always works. Everybody gets a voice, everybody can be heard. Super important. So now I'm gonna stop sharing and we can talk about it, because I feel like you can take two cards that are having a conversation in your Zettelkasten and play with them this way.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then do you do that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. I literally just edited a chapter about how this works, because when teaching an author to build a scene, often you may have just an idea of what you want to happen. Okay, so I need to get this character from here to there, but you don't know how to do that. So an exercise that I have you do is go through your collections. So maybe you have an experience collection that has a reflection that you made when you observed lightning. So you pull that card because you think, ooh, having a storm going on, that could be good. So you put that in the story pile. And then maybe you go to your vocabulary collection and you come across a couple of words for reasons you don't know that you wrote down, the German word Bolzen and the French word éclair, which are the words for lightning. And you think, ooh, okay, that's kind of cool. So you start adding these things together based on just what you're finding. And it's in looking at those things. Okay, so I've got these vocabulary cards about lightning, and I've got this experience card where I observed a thunderstorm. And so then you start thinking, okay, how is that relevant, or how can I use it? Well, maybe the next card that you have, which is the existing card for that scene, is a break-in. Now you've got something you can work with. There's been a burglary, there's a storm going on outside, and then you just start riffing off of what's happening in that scene, and you pull it up in your mind's eye. But it all begins with those two cards, and then the fusion happens when you put them together and make a decision about, now what does that mean for my character? And then you go from there. Works exactly as you're describing.
Now, you've got the two together, and I assume that you're saying, okay, now I've got that, and you've got these other twos together, and they're making a four, and then the scene takes the position of the all. Yeah.
Exactly. For me, the four would be, once you have those couple of basic things that you're looking at, okay, I've got the lightning and I've got the break-in, then the next piece of it would be, okay, what comes out of that is the debris strewn about. So I've got a tipped over desk, I've got some furniture askew, and the key piece is there's a book lying open with pages ripped out. There's your linchpin, and now you know how to write your way through, and you know the piece that you need to plant later because this is where it came from. So it all happens when you take them and you put them together and let them talk to you, and then you add the bigger piece and you let that talk to you, and pretty soon there's enough pieces that you can see your way through, not only through the scene, but you start to see bigger tent poles that you need to hang things on for the rest of the story. Absolutely works how you're describing.
Yeah. I'm bubbling inside.
Me too. I'm like, dude, it works.
I wonder why we're pushing you for your book.
Yes. Yeah. It's gonna be a banger.
It's done. Yeah, it's done. It's coming. It's coming. It really is.
A little bit later, Kathleen will pull out the LiLLiPub card and discuss how great it is to be on LiLLiPub. But one of the things, if you were to join now, you could join the chorus of people saying, Victoria, I want your book.
Well, I would show you the state that it's in, but currently the cat's asleep on it, so I can't even pick it up. She's the guardian of the manuscript, as it were. But yeah, and it's so finished, it's so done now that all of the cards that I used to put it together are back in the Zettelkasten box where they live. So I felt like when I got to that point, I would really feel finished because everything for the writing is all put away. So it's a pretty good feeling, including those cards.
Did this notion of 1, 2, 4 all, does it parallel what either you, Deb, or Kathleen do? Do you really click the click the rings together in quite that way?
My process is so, when you said, don't ask me how I did it, that's me. You can put that picture of me right next to that phrase in the
Deb
dictionary.
Hart doesn't know
Yes.
how she did it.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. I made this fabulous crochet hat, right? Fabulous. When I put that thing on, I was queen, no question, right?
Nice.
And I walked, with my, it was a strut. I can't deny it, the strut. I felt empowered when I put it on. And then somebody said, "Ooh, I want one. I'll pay you."
Oh no.
Sorry, Charlie, I have no clue.
I'm just impressed
It's
you
your
crocheted a
Bezier
hat.
belt.
Yeah, right. For sure.
Yeah. So
That's awesome. To be able to do that, the grass is greener. What can I say? To be that free, to be able to be that free, it's a beautiful thing.
it sort of, but it's also maddening, because when somebody asks you, well, boom, yeah, I'd pay you. What do you want? And you've got this hole in your budget over here. And that it would, if you could just plug that right in, that would be really, really a good thing. No clock, no taxes, just, one and done. But that's exactly how it ended up, one and done. I couldn't do any more. I couldn't duplicate that effort and therefore plug up that financial hole. And so it was quite frustrating. So the idea of the freedom to do it, okay, but then can I remember what I did, please? You know,
Yep.
no, yeah. So
How about
if
you,
I could
Kathleen?
figure it out, that would be good.
Yeah.
I'm done. Yeah.
The 1, 2, 4 all idea, Kathleen, does that map at all to your weekend's experience of Kairos time?
It totally did. In fact, I've got the card, right here, the conversation card. We talked about conversations, and this is exactly what will happen with the Zettelkasten is you'll get conversations going. And strangely, it occurred in those kinds of multiple associations. The original card that I went to file, the new thought that got filed had to do with resistance and realizing all kinds of people have written all kinds of tomes about resistance. It's a common theme among authors, Pressfield with his War of Art, and it keeps coming up again and again and again. And I had a card that this one needed to be filed. Just talked about the Leitner box, and it was its turn. And this is a card that I generated while writing my new book, Reawaken the Dream, pardon me, Unlocking the Treasure, a Zettelkasten Beyond Your Wildest Dreams. I shouldn't have dream in two titles. And card was a note that I had made about a power that a Zettelkasten, keeping quality main cards in your Zettelkasten, strengthens your resistance muscle. Because if you think about it, we have this, if you follow my system, you are encouraged, if not ordered, to, when you have that new idea that came from someone, put it in your own words. There's a resistance against doing that. It's harder than just copying it. If it's
Yeah.
so beautiful that you want to copy it, by all means, put it on the back. And you can have all those precious words that you knew you couldn't do anywhere near as well, but on the front, put it in your own words. So you're fighting a resistance there. You're exercising your resistance muscle. Then you get to exercise it again with your response, and you really get to exercise it with your tagline. Are you going to take the time and effort it takes to come up with the kind of a tagline they're just going to power it right back into your mind, that whole card? So you are doing this micro training in resistance. And this means that when the time comes that you need to have that battle against resistance, you've got a strong will. Your will has gotten this kind of thing is routine for you now. And the next harder thing is the one that, oh, that's a bit of a challenge. But I know I can meet the challenge because I did it when I was learning how to do these. So it empowers you. So then it came time to filing it. Well, when I file things nowadays, I grab a directory card just automatically because as I go through, the card has no trail cards yet at all, but I found some delicious associations. And that's why I called it Kairos time. It was a time of play. And just going to the index and just having what Ken Caputo refers to as wide focus. I'm not zeroed in on what this card says, but what suggests itself out of these index cards I'm floating through. And my rule of thumb there is if it tickles, I write it. It doesn't have to justify it. And so you get some really interesting stuff popping up there, which for me, this is pure fun. We're not talking resistance here because this is pure fun. But then when these were all collected and the time came to figure out, well, which conversation does it really want to join? Its logical parent was one of the child conversations in this card, but I always have the rule of thumb now that if it feels like it's a child of one of these, try it out with the parent. Try going up a step. Because if you've got a tiny little me and he conversation going, that's nice and it's valuable, but That's your 1-in-1. But what if you went up a little higher and had a little bit broader conversation? Now you can see the very pattern, 1, 2, 4 going. And
Yeah.
what popped out of this card just blew me away. Think of all of the different ways. Well, one, resistance, taming the will. That the war of art. We're going to get down there. We sit down to write at 9 a.m. and we don't get up till 1. Tame it. As
Yeah.
Stephanie Caputo liked to do it, resistance as riding the dragon. The will has so much power if we learn to get the power of the will. If we harness the power of the will and put a bridle on it, we can ride that power and take it wondrous directions. Another completely different avenue. Or how about this one? For me, a Christian focus, micro obedience as Christ made me think that I'm going this direction and then this direction and this. Make up your mind. And what he's really doing is steering me around a corner. And that by letting go of the resistance to this little change and this change and this change and this change, make up your mind. But he's gently got me going in a different direction. So yet another take and one more. It came out of a brief encounter with a very dynamic person briefly showed up in Scott Shepherd's community and then disappeared. He comes out of a military background. And he talks about self-regulation in crisis, in danger, in the presence of fear. Now, we talk about resistance when you're sitting there at your desk and will I not work that extra half hour that's on my clock? And now we think about, you're in a team. Others are depending on you. Bullets are flying. Are you going to live or are you going to die? Get a hold of yourself. Whoa. So 5 completely different takes on resistance.
That's fantastic.
That's fantastic. Here's something that you might enjoy about 1, 2, 4 all, where it says things that they recommend. Where is I'm not picking out the thing that jumped out at me when I was first looking at this. It's basically saying make sure that you can, if possible, bring people from a diversity of viewpoints together. And that's what you've got there.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's part of the function, since the way that I use the Zettelkasten is very different from the way that Kathleen does. I think that's part of the basic genius of it is like for me, I encourage authors to immediately start an experience collection where you're simply observing and capturing things throughout the day. It's building a writing habit, it's speaking to that resistance, and it's giving you those different perspectives, because you might observe this person doing this thing, but then you might observe something from nature. I mean, you're constantly shifting around in your perspectives because all you're doing is capturing things. You're not bringing what you're going to do with them or what their utility is or what their value is. You're just capturing. So I think in that way, it encourages that all perspective, because there's no limits, there's no judgment in this stage. It's just capturing. And so I think it helps foster that perspective, whether you're looking at the 2, the 4, or the all. It's another way that the cards help take you outside of yourself, but then help you see a pathway through when you need to pull them and find that path. I think that's really fascinating, but it works.
And, one thing that you can kind of count on when you're working with your own Zettelkasten there's a connection between these things. It's you.
Yeah.
These are these are
Right.
ideas you love
Yeah.
from different parts of your heart,
Yeah.
but you're one person.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would add to that, it's multi-leveled, because it's funny. I was literally laying in bed at 4 o'clock this morning thinking about this, that's just kind of like 4 to 6, I'm awake, but I just kind of stay inside my head in that quiet space and follow thought threads or whatever. And I was thinking, one of the values is it allows all of the parts of yourself to show up. Too often I show up only with logic. I show up with, how am I going to impose order on this? How am I going to line it out? That's how I see the world. But when you invest in a Zettelkasten and the exercises and the ways that you find to incorporate it, especially as a writer, it's exactly what you just said. You bring things from your heart. I was remembering this morning music that I had forgotten from 25 years ago. And the moment I thought of it, I just warmed up. I was literally smiling with my whole body. And I thought, man, I need to get those CDs out. and those are not things I normally think about. But, and so your notebox does that for you. It allows you to capture something with your heart because it just makes you happy and you feel it. Or it's something logical, like Kathleen said, this man he's solving life problems in real time. That's a very different skill and observation, but nonetheless, it all falls under the same umbrella. So you allow yourself these little buckets to play in, and you show up with whoever you are or whatever piece is thinking of it. And the coolest part is it all stays there. It's all captured in the notebox for whichever part of you shows up when you go digging through cards for something. It's all there. I think that's part of where I lose time, is revisiting those pieces of myself and what I was thinking when I made those captures. And then, like you said, you're the thing that tethers them all together. So everything in there is something I love and I'm excited about. Like, what's not to love about that?
Yeah.
And it all just shows up for you.
I love what you were saying about it being all there, because to me, that is part of the reason why I put the whole conversation, the whole tagline. That's why they're so important to me, and why the whole tagline goes on my index and whole tagline goes on my directory cards. Because if I pulled out an index and it said resistance, card number, card number, card number, card number, card number, I would have nothing. And even if I had an extra keyword to go with it, like, let's say I had, will, dragon, fear, curves, would that really have brought the whole thing back to me? It, and but like you're saying, Victoria, when the whole thing comes together, it has it becomes much more evocative, and it brings, as you were saying, the whole self into it.
Another important aspect of 1, 2, 4 all, and the what you were just talking about, the different people who have their different perspectives on resistance. When two people are paired, and those two people would not pair themselves with each other, maybe the sensitive poet would not pair himself with the hard-boiled military dude. But they are put together and they find a way to forgive themselves for being different.
Oh, you're blowing my mind, Julianne, because I just came into look at all of these differences. Well. What if I did grab the guy with the bullets flying and paired him with Ride the Dragon? Why, the Ride the Dragon would have said, well, you just jump on the dragon and you fly out of there and you scoop up your on the way.
Yeah.
And if you tamed him with Taming the Will, you'd probably have him grab get off there and shoot his way out.
Yeah.
All the different
Yeah.
that gives umpteen more things you can do with five because you can pair them all different ways.
Yeah.
What would they come up with? They had to come up with it. Okay, what's the best approach for resistance?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, or to send it the other direction, what's the best way through a story? What's the best way through a scene?
Yeah.
Am I going to go with Ride the Dragon guy? Or am I going to go with military guy? And what are the natural consequences of making that choice for the next scene? And then that leads you to the next one, because this one's going to work out this way and that one's going to work out that way. What works for the story? I mean, it works in any context. You just, 1, 2, 4, all. You just follow its natural flow and see which one fits for whatever you're working on.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna
Well played.
yeah, cool. So the next one I mentioned, I let me see. I'm just gonna peek and see if it helps with a nice little diagram. No, I'll just describe it. So it's called open space technology. This is the sort of thing that if you were an agile coach and you were going to an agile coaching convention, it might be organized using open space technology. So it's a way of kind of going up a level. But there's still, when you go to a convention, a conference, that's really what I mean, a conference, there's a theme. And then there are, the little, what do they call them in a conference? They've got these little sub channels that are going
Like
through
the
right through
breakouts. Yeah.
Yeah. And so in open space technology, you've got your theme, and then it might again be let's understand. It depends. The problem can be wide open. It could just be sharing. It could be a very serious problem. And the major subgroups are all representing one larger kind of confluence of ideas. And what you do as a participant is you just choose your own adventure from one room to another. And those rooms are likely organized along using some of these other, it might be used using 1, 2, 4 all inside. You might arrive when a bunch of the groups of 4 are yielding their results. So that there will be some structure inside each of these. But that's another way when you've got your for this one, Kathleen, I think about the vision box.
Oh, okay.
Because it's a way of moving through broader level conversations. Bringing your cards with you, in this case. Who's interested? Who's interested in going into this room or that room? And what do they have? And then what might they want to add? So there's that. And then the final technique, and I really don't know how this works here, but maybe we can brainstorm, because I just thought of this morning. The third thing is the first liberating structure that I was exposed to, and it's called Troika Consulting. I'm going to walk you through it again, and then if you so it's Troika, 3 people. So you're breaking up into groups of 3s. Each person in the group of 3 is going to get his or her turn being the client, where the other 2 are the consultants. And then they rotate, and then the next person is a client, and those 2 are consultants, and then through the 3. And each thing is time boxed. A lot of these things are time boxed, and this is again reminding me, Kathleen, about the importance of the tagline. To be able to summarize a lot of ideas in the space of a single line of text is a great skill to have, right? When
Headlines. Yeah.
yeah, when two people or the four in a one, two, four all, when all they can do is list all of their individual ideas that they came up with without having really synthesized them in any sort of way, they can't say, here's what we're about,
Mhm.
then you leave everybody else doing that work.
Mhm.
And so it's the same thing. You're leaving stuff on the table there. So Troika Consulting, it's time boxed. So let's pretend I'm the client. In the first minute of our session, each of us gets each round is 10 minutes. So it's a 30-minute thing. And in a conference, if this is done, there's somebody punching the clock, making sure that people don't babble on and on, because they will. I would present what's my problem, my challenge. Let's say my challenge is in the Roanoke project, I want the relationship that my character Jenna has with the link to represent a generally healthy relationship with AI.
Oh.
Okay.
And so that would be my problem. And I would explain it. And so I've just said it. That was my minute, right? Then what you would do as the consultants, you have 2 minutes between the two of you to ask clarifying questions so that you can go off without me and brainstorm on my challenge. So you really want to do the best you can, like pretending you're a consultant. What do I understand about your problem? And then you've got 2 minutes to do that. And we're not trying to solve the problem, we're trying to understand it. Then I, as the client, turn my back and I've got a notepad in my hand and I'm listening to the consultants in 4 minutes discuss what they think that they might try, what they recommend for this problem. And the consultants may have never thought about this before, but likely even so, because they're really trying and they're spurring each other on, they'll come up with a new take,
Mm-hmm.
or they just help the person see past themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I as the client, having taken notes, the first thing I do after the 4 minutes is I express gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
And when these happen, you feel it. You feel gratitude. So you express gratitude and you share what it was that you took out of that, and then you're on to the next round. So
Wow.
this is a very human way of doing things. It's an amazing icebreaker. That's the way that I
Yeah.
used it. I used it in coaching training year after year after year, month after month after month. It was the first session. We're going to divide up and we're going to do this thing that you've never heard of. And half of you at least are going to think, no way, I don't want to do that. And most of them come out saying, well, that was just like the best thing ever.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's Troika Consulting. It's super, super powerful. Now, having heard all of that, did anybody think, oh, well, yeah, I could with my Zettelkasten maybe do.
Ah,
Mm,
well, every card that you go to place is posing its own problem.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is, I've got this wonderful insight on micro victories, and I think they're super important. Who would want to hear about this? Who
mm,
already, who can I bounce this idea off of? How can I find the one to bounce it off of? You have to pick where you're going to go to look.
mm.
Mm-hmm. A lot of times you learn something about the quality of your index, which
Yeah.
is, always a work in progress, right? To make it better and better.
And I
Yeah.
find that sometimes those general alphabetic are, well, of course, in wide focus, you're going to bump into things that you're not going to bump into if it's broken down by the keyword. So already
Yeah,
the keyword you've already filtered quite a bit.
yeah,
And
yeah,
if you don't connect off victory or resistance or micro, then what do you connect from? In this case, resistance did the trick, but along the way, I bumped into one on build roads into the subconscious mind.
Mm,
mm-hmm.
Yeah,
nice.
I had because I was in Kairos time, and because that popped out at me, I didn't demand, well, what does that got to do with a micro victory over resistance? It wasn't in that kind of a state at all. So I just wrote it down. I still don't know why I wrote it down.
Mhm.
Somebody's going to pick this card and it's going to participate. So I probably
Mhm.
wrote it for the future. But that's about all I could come up with.
I like it. Yeah, yeah. It's
I
the
think
thing with the. Go ahead. Yeah, go
no,
ahead.
no, go ahead. No,
One of the cool things about Troika Consulting is that it's very much about we're just going to trust each other right away.
Oh.
mm,
Because this was at a work setting. I was like, bring a real problem. Don't pretend. Bring a real problem.
right.
A lot of times people were bringing in work problems.
Uh-huh.
I mean, there was one guy, God bless him. His problem was the best ever. My daughter's on the space shuttle and I need to figure out how to get her a birthday cake.
That is
Oh.
fantastic. Yeah, I like it. Now that, my friend, is a problem.
Yeah. And make it a
Wow.
surprise.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
But, there were the first one of these that I did was with somebody who we already went in kind of trusting each other.
Yeah.
But there was a person who had a really big kind of life conundrum, and she just laid it all out for us. And I don't
Mhm.
really think I was super helpful, but the other person who was the consultant in this just was terrific. And
Mm.
I'll never forget that she turned around in her swivel chair, tears streaming down her face.
Hmm.
She had her decision,
Mm.
and she was fortified to overcome all the buts. And
Mm.
so, yeah, if you can't trust your Zettelkasten, can you?
Right?
Well,
I
Victoria's
think,
writers always they have problems all the time, don't they?
yeah, well, the most direct application that I immediately jumped out at me is one of the collections that I ask my readers to build early on, if not right up front, is something that I call dialogue cards. And it can be something you've overheard, it can be something you've read, something from a movie, something you've imagined, it doesn't matter. And then I break those down into subcategories. You've got dialogue that's conversation, you've got dialogue that's an argument, dialogue that's a question, dialogue that's a revelation. There's a whole list of them. And these are, again, you're removing yourself from it. You're just observing and capturing these things that for whatever reason resonated in the moment, and you're just putting them in your dialogue section. So that for me is the most directly applicable route, because all of the problems that I'm solving are story problems. So If I know that I need to get this character from A to B and I don't know how to do it, I'm going to go to my dialogue section and I'm just going to start looking through those conversations, because it's essentially kin to having those two people take your problem and talk about it behind your back. You're taking your problem, which is, she's having an inner struggle with whatever this choice is, and you're reviewing your dialogue. And by doing that, you're letting your note box talk to you. And I would wager at some point, if you've been thorough in making those captures and saving them, you're going to see something. It might be a question that someone asks. It might be an argument. I would say you'll come across something that's going to break that open in such a way that then the next step is, just like Julianne had us do in Roanoke, take two characters and make them talk about it. Yes, you're the writer, but let me promise you, friend, if you have those characters start talking to each other, they're going to do stuff without you that you did not expect.
It's the most awesome thing.
It so is. It so is. But until you experience it, particularly newer writers are like, what? You're like, no, trust me. Just give them somebody to talk to and set a timer for 30 minutes and have them talk to each other on the page. You stay out of it. Just let them have a conversation. And more often than not, you will find a thread that you can pull through to solve whatever that problem is. So I would say that I see that as the most direct application, because you're literally letting them talk to you.
Yeah.
And then you're just going to pull the card that makes sense and, either stick it in the plot box or sit down and write it out. You will write your way through.
Now you swivel your chair around with tears streaming down your face and say, thank you.
That's right. Eureka. Yeah. And then you thank Wilma and keep going.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is, we're at the hour, and that is what I had to share. I hope that was helpful. And I did drop the little hint about my problem, which is I want Jenna to have a healthy relationship with AI. So there are going to be unhealthy relationships with AI probably also in the Roanoke book. But we've got AI here and now in our world, and there are all sorts of different little takes on it. And it's a subject of some controversy. And so that's something I hope that we can tee up for a future conversation, and that the liberating structures will help us go at it with our plus ones and with each other.
Yeah. Hey, Kathleen, if people want to join the conversation, what should they do?
They should come on over to LiLLiPub.org. If you come over to LiLLiPub.org, you can join on two different levels. You can just sign up for the mailing list, in which case you'll get a directory link to where we post things that are open for the general public, and you can stop by there and check out what's new every week. There's usually something that goes out there on a weekly basis. Or you can join LiLLiPub, and that way you can get in on the discussion. You can suggest things. You can chat with us. Maybe you can even chat with our plus ones if you ask them a direct question. I'm sure ask them the answer to what you asked. So visit us, LiLLiPub.org. That's also where you'll get the first notice when Victoria's book is ready to be ordered, and you can sign up for her advanced notification list.
Yeah.
We aren't waiting with bated breath or anything.
Nothing like that, no. All right, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.